Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It's often perceived by the public that when politicians become too old, too doddery, their mind has gone, or they've been caught out and need to be got rid of quietly and quickly, or they become a trouble or something, they often get promoted, and I use the word promoted quite wrongly really, but they often get promoted to the House of Lords, where they can sit and while away their days, sleeping, snoozing, maybe having a spot of lunch, and not really doing too much, but it keeps them busy, active, and they meet other people. It's a bit like an old people's care facility, isn't it? But occasionally you get a little bright day when the Alzheimer's has rescinded and the humour comes out, and then they have a real go-to slanging match. And of course, not the cut and thrust you get in the House of Commons. It's far more sedate and gentlemanly, but nonetheless there is an edge to it, and it is, well, entertaining. And one magic day happened yesterday. Whatever drug they were taking to relieve them of their boredom turned into be a little bit of an amusement. We're going to have a go at this. They really had a little bit of a lay-in on the Greens, and they've had a go at the Patrick Harvey and Lorna Slater in the House of Lords. But then, of course, there are the responses, and it was good to see. Good to see. Strange. We often think of it as being the Eastbourne for politicians, where the old go to die. Turns out there's still a little bit of fight in the old dogs yet. Here goes. Right, so this was in the House of Lords yesterday, and Lord Foulkes gets up and sort of has a little bit of a go, a little bit of a snipe at the Greens. Scottish Greens accused of hypocrisy, as it's claimed they go everywhere in chauffeur-driven cars. And indeed, sometimes they go somewhere and then call the chauffeur-driven car and there's no one in it. Lorna Slater did that. She was in Aberdeen and then wanted a car to drive her around the city and out on the outskirts of things. And got a car driven from Edinburgh all the way up to Aberdeen by a chauffeur who then carted her around the city. She made a big show of taking a train to Aberdeen and did the Photoshop on the train, blah, 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 blah. Got this car driven up, drove her around Aberdeen all day. Then she make sure she's seen getting back on the train to go back to Edinburgh. And the car had to drive back. The poor old show was on his own. Could have done with a bit of company, you'd have thought. So yes, they do. They do everything like that. Anyway, Labour Lord Foulkes of Cumnock called out two ministers for allegedly choosing car travel over perfectly good public transport. Well, it's Scotland. It's not perfectly good, but it's better. It is there. Scottish Green ministers have been accused of being a wee bit hypocritical by the Scottish Labour peer, who claimed they go everywhere in chauffeur-driven cars. The Scottish Government, which consists of an SNP Green coalition, has two Green ministers. Lorna Slater, the Minister for Green Skills, Circular Economy and Biodiversity, and Patrick Harvey, the leprechaun for zero carbon buildings, active travel and tenants' rights. And so it's the tenants' rights that's the issue for another story I'll be doing later on, but we'll come to that. Labour Lord Foulkes of Cumnock called out these two ministers for allegedly choosing car travel over perfectly good public transport. He said Green politicians tend to be a wee bit hypocritical. We have two Green ministers in Scotland, Lorna Slater and Patrick Harvey, who go everywhere, he said, in chauffeur-driven cars when there's perfectly good public transport, which I use regularly. He says, is it not about time, he said, that they lived up to their theories in their actions? Then there was a response. DEFRA Minister Lord Benyon responded, when I arrived at DEFRA in 2010, there were 5 ministerial cars. That's gone down to 1, and I travel mostly by the use of an Oyster card. Well, to be fair, if you're in and around London, tons of public transport, not so much everywhere else, but, big cities maybe. Green Party of PRS Bennett of Manor Castle appeared to respond to Lord Foulkes' comment by asking, can the minister tell me the comparative fuel consumption and emissions from a helicopter flight compared to travelling by car? Of course, she may have been referring to the reports that Rishi Sunak has taken private helicopter trips to his Richmond constituency in North Yorkshire since becoming the Prime Minister. Yeah, another one. He could get on a train right down the street. You come out of Downing Street, you get onto the station. Where? Not Monument. Come on, brain, you can do this. Westminster. It's got its own bloody train station, hasn't it? Anyway, you get on the train station at Westminster, boom, up. up onto the, it'd be Euston, wouldn't it? You go up to Euston, straight up, takes you straight into Richmond. You do it in about 4 hours. Oh no, not Rishi, not the billionaire, the non-tax-paying billionaire Rishi, with his green card so he can bugger off to America as soon as he's finished screwing the country. Oh no, not him. He has to get a publicly paid for helicopter. See, there's no climate emergency. If there was a climate emergency, people wouldn't be allowed to use helicopters because that would be bad for the environment. Climate emergency, my hole. Anyway, Lord Benyon responded to her question about the comparative damage, yay or nay. He says, "No, I'm terribly sorry, I'm afraid I can't," he said, and laughter erupted across the upper chamber. So it's just nice to see that someone has a go at the Greens and then the Greens have a go back asking Rishi about his helicopter flights. Like I say, it's not the cut and thrust of the Commons, but it is nice to see that the old boys are still awake every now and again. They're still capable of a little bit of humour. However, and the point is, he is absolutely right. They do. They absolutely abuse their principles. They are hypocrites of the first water. They sit there and go and tell us how we should ride this and do that and get on your bike and blah, blah, blah. And yet they will not do it. She won't even use a train if she can avoid it. Or if she does, it's first class because she doesn't like mixing with normal people. What a two-faced hypocrite. Good body, though. Anyway, I'm going to stop there and come up. Now, he is right, really. I mean, I know it's genteel humour. It's not that cut and thrust you're going to get in the comments, but he is right into criticising them. They are utter hypocrites. So do as I say, not as I do. Watch me as I sit here and tell you how to live your life. Meanwhile, I do the complete opposite. As a little tangent, do you know that Lorna Slater is an aerialist? You know those things you see in circuses and shows and things where you have like the big fat wide ribbon that comes down from the ceiling and the girl sort of tumbles down it and then spins and does things like that up in the air? That's what Lorna Slater does as a hobby. She must have thighs that would crush a man at 30 paces. There we go. Didn't know that, did you? Anyway, I shall round off there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see and hear on the channel, do please hit the subscribe button. Ring the bell. Definitely leave a like. That really helps with the metrics. And leave a comment. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. And remember, you must never do as the Greens say, only what they do. And goodbye.